Hang on a second, y'all. Sorry, we're experiencing technical difficulties, guys. Camera's not rendering up. Bear with me just a minute. There we go. For some reason, when I extensively use Discord, the cam link decides to choke on itself. So I apologize for that, everyone. And here we are. How's everybody today? Good to see you. Happy Thursday. Had a wonderful live stream with Kyle last night. That was lots of fun. We solved all the problems in the gaming world. Hello, Katie. Yes, I got the camera fixed. But yeah, we played some Conflict with Kyle last night. That was a stone groove, man. Lots of fun. But today, we're going to have fun of another kind. Now, if you haven't been following me on Facebook, you might not know that I did kind of an old school Antique Roadshow review of Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play First Edition. This is an absolutely stellar fantasy role-playing game from the very early 1980s, and it was made by Games Workshop. Yes, this was actually made by Games Workshop when the rule of cool was instituted, and fun was the name of the game over there. I have sung its virtues for many years, but just like with Star Trek, there's a lot of folks out there that might not be that familiar with Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play. Now, I have said that this thing is a love letter to original and early advanced D&D, but I think that's doing it and D&D a bit of a disservice. It is very much its own thing. If you've never played or read the lore of Warhammer Fantasy, then you might not really be that up on the facts. I mean, Warhammer is one of those things that people tend to get by osmosis these days. It's like, oh yeah, I know, it's chaos and it's humans and so on. Warhammer Fantasy is kind of a one-planet microcosm of what expanded out into Warhammer 40k, and there's a lot of the same deities and so on and etc. There's a struggle of law versus chaos, but it really, really is its own thing. And the character creation system in it is wonderful. This is a game, Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play, that if they told me that I could only have one role-playing game, and it couldn't be D&D, and I couldn't, I couldn't sneak the D20 rules in, or Osric or anything like that. It can't be anything D&D. I would take that right there. I would go with Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play. Now, I might set it in Greyhawk. They didn't say I couldn't pick my own campaign world. But it would absolutely be Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play for its rich and detailed background, a lot of which is right there in the core rulebook. But it would absolutely 100% be for its character creation system, and that's what we're going to do a deep dive on today. Just like we did with Star Trek, we're going to we're gonna roll up our sleeves and we're going to dig in to character creation. Now, the cool thing, I just want to kind of jump ahead and mention this. I know there's a lot of role-playing games that I do review, and I do the RPG Antique Roadshow on and that sort of thing, where I say, oh yeah, you can't get this anymore. Between the time of when I did an overview review of Warhammer Fantasy and now, or maybe even been before then, I honestly don't remember. I should watch my own videos more often and get up on those things. But that actually is available. You can buy a PDF, you can send it off to Lulu and get it bound, and have yourself a nice physical copy of Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play First Edition. And the PDF they've got is excellent. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a window because it's going to make it a lot easier to do character generation if I can show you guys a lot of this. Window capture, let's see. Now, I'd forgotten that I didn't have Acrobat or any other kind of PDF reader installed on my system, so we're doing this through Edge, so hopefully it won't throw up on itself. There it is. So there's Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play. I'm going to shrink that down a little bit and bring myself over here. There we go. So you guys can have a gander at that with that absolutely lovely cover art there. A grim world of perilous adventure. And it is. You can have a character who's gone through multiple character exits and ends up dying of typhus. It's It's that kind of grim dark. So with all that said, I'm going to fire up Notepad here. Because we just need a little bit. We just need a little bit. Oh, that's my conflict character. Not that one. That one. There we go. We just need a little bit of space for this, and we'll dive right in. Since I'm running late, we're just gonna bite the bullet and jump in. And if you've got any comments or questions or anything, you feel free to just stick them down in the comment box here or over on Facebook. So, Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play. And this is Cubicle 7. I almost said Mongoose. This is Cubicle 7. Was tagged with doing Games Workshop role-playing games as of late. So I guess they asked them permission to do this because GW does not play with old stuff. At least in print. So there's a lot of basic introductory stuff here, you know, using this rulebook. What is a role-playing game? The playing area, the action, the fantasy world, the scenario, winning and losing, creatures and characters, the dice, multiple dice and modifiers, the players section. So essentially, the Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play core rulebook is both player's handbook and Game Master's Guide in one book. So let's just zip on down. It explains what characteristics are. You have movement of M, weapon skill WS, ballistic skill, which covers throw an object. You have now weapon skill is hand to hand. Ballistic skill covers everything. Handguns too, and it mentions here creature's ability to hit somebody by spitting venom at them. Strength, that's S. Toughness, a character's indication to resist damage. It is very hard to damage a creature with a high T and relatively easy to damage one with low T. Like strength, it is expressed as a number between 1 and 10. Wounds, that's basically your hit points. Initiative, yes, initiative plus a D10 bonus is a fixed thing in the game. Attacks, that's the number of attacks. And typically you start out with 1. It's rare that you might get 2. Dexterity follows D&D. If you understand dexterity in D&D, you understand this. Leadership, character's ability to lead others. A character with a high leadership, or LD, is charismatic, inspiring confidence and loyalty, whilst a character with a low LD may be rather indecisive. The characteristics is expressed as a range of 1 to 100. Intelligence. This determines a character's ability to think and understand. It may be thought of as a sort of intelligent quotient, if you like, and it's 1 to 100. Cool. This characteristic represents a creature's ability to remain calm, collected, even sane under severe psychological stress. Some of the creatures that inhabit the old world are truly frightening and may be confronted safely only by characters with a high cool value. Cool is expressed as a percentage from 1 to 100. Willpower. It's a measure of mental and magical resistance and general magical awareness. It reflects a creature's ability to shrug off the effects of magic, charms, and mental influence. Magic-using characters will benefit from a high willpower, especially if they are to confront some of the more hellish creatures of other worlds, while they may attempt to infiltrate their minds and distort their personalities. Willpower is expressed as a percentage of 1 to 100. Fellowship. This is a character's social skills, appearance, ability to emphasize, and so on. A character with high fellowship will find it easy to make new friends and will be able to obtain information from others by carefully steering a conversation. Characters with a low fellowship, however, have an amazing talent for saying just the wrong thing and are always putting their boot in it. They're impervious to hints, unresponsive to atmosphere, and completely without tact. Fellowship is also 1 to 100. 0 level characteristics. All creatures are described using the same set of characteristics. In certain cases, though, a creature may have a characteristic score of 0. This means it has no ability to perform tasks associated with it. A creature with no hands, for example, would probably have a dex of 0. Well, I would debate that. They could tumble. All right, so let's start up creating the character profile. Now it gives us the 4 races of Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play First Edition that are playable. We have man, elf, dwarf, and halfling. And then the die roll involved for generating each stat as we go down the line. So we're going to keep this simple, just like we did with Star Trek. We're going to go with a human. I know, boo. But let's look at that. Humans, or men, are the most numerous of the 4 races of the Old World and the most successful. For this reason, they are often referred to simply as Old Worlders. Humans look pretty much like ourselves, but may be somewhat more rugged, living as they do in a more vigorous and demanding age. They speak Old Worlder, have no night vision. Alignment generally is neutral. Height, male is 5'4" plus a d10 inches tall. Female is 5 foot plus d10 inches tall. Psychology, no special psychology rules. We're just the plain Jane, just the generic guys. So I'm looking to put this someplace that it won't cover everything up. Won't cover me up. All right, so let's start. We need a D3, but that's simple. That's a D6 divided in half. So we're going to write out our character profile. We're going to start with M for movement. And for men, if we look down on the chart, it is D3 plus 2. So 5 divided by 2, rounded down, is 2 plus 2 is 4. So movement is 4. Weapon skill, 2d10 plus 20. I just happen to have 2d10 right here. So that is 9. Sorry, 9 plus 20. So weapon skill is 29. Ballistic skill, 2d10 plus 20. That is 8 plus 20, 28. Strength, D3 plus 1. Ooh, 1 plus 1. Toughness, D3 plus 1. That is also 2. I'm worried about our guy here already. All right. Wounds. He's not very tough. He better have a lot of wounds. There we go. Rolled a 6. And that is also, is that D3 or is that D6? Toughness, or wounds. D3 plus 4. So wounds of 7. Initiative, 2d10 plus 20. 7 and 1 is 8, so initiative. And that's not a fixed stat, by the way. That can vary depending on what the Game Master wants to do. So number of attacks As I said, that is almost always 1, so attacks is 1. Dexterity, 2d10 plus 20. 3 and 5 is 8, so dex. Leadership, 2d10 plus 20. 5 and 8 is 13, and 20 is 33. Intelligence, 2d10 plus 20. 4 and 4 is 8. Loves those 28s. Cool, 2d10 plus 20. 9 and 8 is 17. This guy's pretty cool. 17 and 20 is... Let's see. Hello, Cam. Good to see you. Hope you're still there. All right, where were we? Here we go. Okay. Willpower, 2d10 plus 20. 30. And last but not least, Fellowship, 2d10 plus 20. 6 and 9 is 15. So there's our basic character, right there. But wait, there's more. So now that we've gotten our stats down, we look over, we check the race. No special bonuses, no special psychology rules. If we had chosen an elf, we would have had night vision of 30 yards and a good alignment. So our guy is neutrally aligned. And alignment in this game is somewhat similar to D&D's alignment. Alignment is a device for defining a character's attitude. And here we are. I'll highlight that so y'all can see it. And yes, this PDF that of Warhammer Fantasy First Edition that you can get at drive-thru is OCR'd. Alignment is a device for defining a character's attitude to the world and other characters. It is used to determine the creature's reactions when they are encountered, and will sometimes dictate the character's own actions. Generally speaking, only characters of the same alignment are going to get on well. There will always be some degree of antipathy between characters of different alignments. The exact definition of each alignment follows in the Game Master section. They're mostly self-explanatory. Evil characters are basically evil, and good characters are basically good. Chaos represents a constant destruction and renewal, where law represents a stasis of perfection, in which nothing ever changes in the slightest degree, leaving neutral characters as fairly free-minded and liberal beings, uncommitted to a particular frame of mind. For the first game, characters are not permitted to choose their alignment, but must use the standard alignment for their race. This is neutral for all races but elves, who must be good. Interesting. Alright. So, Fate. Fate is the essential difference that marks the character as an adventurer rather than an ordinary run-of-the-mill citizen. Adventurer characters have a destiny, a mission, a definite goal in life. They may not be aware of what this is, it may not be very glorious, it may not even be particularly pleasant, but the character is marked out by the gods to do it, whatever it is. Because your adventurers are marked by fate, they are unlikely to be cut into by the first goblin to swing an axe in their direction. They are marked for better things. To represent this, characters are allotted a number of fate points, which can be used during the game to save them from serious injury or death. The Game Master can explain how fate points work if the players wish, but for now it is enough to know that fate points are precious. They will certainly preserve the character's life. Fate and destiny are tied up with the will of the gods and fate of the planet as a whole. The world is changing. Humanity is in the ascendant while the other races are on the wane. This is not to say that individuals of other races do not have a significant part to play with the histories yet to be written. However, the player who wishes to choose to play a human character has a definite edge. Generate the number of fate points just as follows and mark them down on your score in the appropriate space on your record sheet. Humans get D3 plus 1 fate points. Elves have D3 minus 1, but have a minimum of 1. Dwarves have D3, and halflings have D4. So let's take a look. And we have 3, so that becomes 2. So yeah, that is D3 plus 1. Oh, well, no, I think it's round down. So I have, we'll say 2 fate points. So 2 mulligans, 2 do-overs. Now let's look at career classes. Now that you've generated the profile for your character, it is time to develop some background for the new person. After all, characters are real people. They don't just pop into existence when you roll up their profile. They have pasts, talents, and personalities unique to themselves. To begin with, the player is allowed to choose one of 4 broad categories of background, career classes: warrior, ranger, rogue, or academic. Within each broad class are numerous divisions of ability, but the divisions reflect 4 fundamentally different backgrounds. Those will then be developed so the character will know more about what their characters were before they started adventuring. After all, you never know when the information might prove very important. Warriors come from a fighting background. Rangers are independent rural characters. Rogues live by their wits, usually in the cities, where they can make a living from the mass of common and gullible people. Typically, they will have been thieves, entertainers, or beggars. Academics are the educated persons of society. They can read and write, which practically no one else can. Like I said, it's kind of grimdark. And they often have lucrative jobs amongst professions or skilled crafts. Many academics will have started out as artisans, clerics, lawyers, or wizards. All right. So let's look at the classes. Warrior. The character must have a weapon skill of at least 30. Well, do we have a 30 weapon skill? No. Ranger. A ballistic skill of at least 30. No. Rogue. The character must have an intelligence of at least 30. No. Academic. An intelligence of at least 30 or willpower of at least 30. Well, poop. You know what? I'm not going to go out and I'm not going to go back and re-roll the entire character. So we're going to bump that ballistic skill up to 30 so we can take Ranger. Oopsie. Just to make things move on a little bit easier. He's going to be Joe Cool. Yes. So yeah, we're just gonna massage that ballistic skill a little bit so he can have Ranger. All right. Skills are specific abilities such as riding a horse, being able to pick pockets, or read. There are a great many of these skills in the game, and they play an important part. To determine how many skills a character has, roll a d4 and modify the result by the character's age. The following chart gives a standard modification for different age brackets. There's a separate column for each race because they mature and age at different rates. 70 is very old for a human, but quite young for a dwarf or an elf. Note the modifications are not cumulative. A 70-year-old dwarf has d4 plus 1 skills. An 80-year-old dwarf has d4 plus 2 skills. Older characters have fewer skills due to creeping senility, failing physique, and a tendency to get out of touch. Guilty. All right. So let's see. If we make this character if we make this character 31, if we say that he is 31 years old, just want to make sure to, oh no, it's age. Okay, all right. So humans, it's 6d6 years. So that's 8, 14, 21, might make it to 31 at that, 31. All right. Ooh, weather warning, guys. Or an amber alert. Scared the hell out of me. All right, so he's 31. So he has D4 plus 1. So we're gonna do this the bad way. Actually, I'm gonna do it by percentile. That's a good way to do D4 if you don't have a D4 on the table. Let's see, 80. That's gonna be 75. So wow. So I have a D4 plus 2 skills. 3 plus 2. I have 5 skills. Five skills, folks. That's pretty good to start with. Mandatory skills. Humans, the main advantages humans have is they are versatile. Humans dice for all their initial skills randomly on the skill chart for their chosen career class. Woohoo! Alright, and so we said he's a ranger. He's a human ranger. And if you look at this chart here that I've scrolled to, there's the ranger skill chart. For each race. Yes, you dice to see what ones you have. So, let's see. I just want to make sure. All right. So I have no mandatory skills. Let's start up. I'm going to... Let me zoom in a little bit. No, that's fine. Although I could read it aloud. I could have it read to us. Can I? There we go. All right. Hopefully you guys can see that a little better now. All right. Ranger skill chart. Human. And we got 5 skills. So we got a 50. What is that? Luck. It's better to be lucky than good. So next, 27. Drive cart. Third skill, 63. Prepare poisons. Two more. 67. I can read and write. And our last one, 46. That's luck again. 26. Let's drive cart again. 6. Ambidextrous. Not to be confused with ambidextrose, which means I come with 2 sugars. Sorry, I thought that joke would be a lot sweeter. It is a very random game. Yes, it is, Katie. Oh, a very random game, sir. All right, so we have our basic build in effect. So we've gotten our skills. Now let's look at trappings. As a part of your skill, you actually begin with certain elements. And if you look here on the section, Rangers wear a suit of good but weather-worn and travel-stained clothing, including a tatty hat, a hooded cloak, and thick leather boots. And this is all stuff you need to write down. The game gets very, very picky about this. So, hat, cloak, clothes, boots. We'll say he's got a backpack. D3 blankets. At 1. Backpack, blankets. Cutlery, not cultery. I'd be an academic if that was the case. Cutlery, cooking pot, tinderbox, and a hand weapon. Now, Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play, all weapons do D6, although they do have an optional, like, this type of weapon does a D8, this type of weapon does a D4. So a hand weapon could be anything from a truncheon to a longsword. In this case, I'm going to say he has a longsword. Longsword. Sheathed knife. Blah. And 3d6 gold crowns, which is actually a lot of money in this game. So let's see. Good Lord, that's 11. 13. So 13. And we won't get into the monetary system today, but... Alright, so the basic career chart. Now, Ranger is a class, but it is not a career. And Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play makes that distinction. So let's see. And we'll look at his possible careers. Ranger basic career. So we roll a D100 again and we find out what his basic career was. So let's take a look at that. As a human, of course, we have the chart here, right here. It's highlighting everything, but trust me, the one on the left is human. 33. A herdsman. A herdsman. Now, when we scroll down, we look at all the possibilities for a herdsman. And now that was his previous career, by the way. So let's scroll down and let's see what this gave him. Whoops. We're just going to zip down. Grave robber. Oh, these are advanced scheme. Wait, are they? We may have to do some search and find here. Alphabetical list of basic careers. Here, let's search it. Oh, we're way deep in the book here. All right, this section, So the herdsman is actually missing from the basic careers. I may not get anything. Agitator, alchemist, artisan, beggar, boatman, bodyguard, bounty hunter, coachman, druid, engineer, entertainer, exciseman, fisherman, footpad, gambler, gamekeeper, grave robber, herbalist. There we are. Herdsman. I wonder where that... Herdsman is not the title of herdsman there is not OCR'd, so I wasn't able to find it. All right, so here's what being a herdsman gives me as far as skills. Animal care, animal charm, specialist weapon sling, 50% chance of animal training. I have that. 75% chance of herb lore. I can prepare poisons, so I hope so. No, I do not have herb lore. And 75% chance of very resilient. But that I do have. Trappings, hand weapon, panpipe, sling and ammunition, and staff. So we'll take a second long sword. And that's it, guys. For a basic Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play character, he is completely built. In the words of the late great Billy Mays, but wait, there's more. There exist in the game what are called advanced schemes. And if you look, you have all the basic characteristics right across here. And you will note that underneath them, there are these increases. You don't get those for becoming that character type. What advanced scheme means is, if you wish to exit to another career, which we're going to do, we're going to look at the career exits. When you get a ballistic skill of +20, a strength of +1, 2 additional wounds, and your initiative goes up by 10%, then you can exit to one of these possible careers right here. We have Druid, Militiaman, Outlaw, Rustler, and Scout. So let's say, for the sake of the argument, just because we're having fun building a character up here, Katie says, that's why you were fired. You gave the wrong herb to an animal. Yeah. Poor Bessie. She just wasn't the same after I fed her a bunch of Jimson weed. Paul says, I saw Lucky Cart Driver and figured you could drive a transport of dynamite a la William Friedkin's Sorcerer. Actually, you know what? Sorcerer set in Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play would make a hell of a scenario. It's grim and gritty and unpleasant enough. You know, hey, you have to take this blasting powder, because cannons and handguns and explosives do exist in Warhammer. You know, you've got to transport them across this this jungle to the far south. I like that. I like your thinking, Paul. But we're going to exit. We're going to take an exit here. So let's go ahead and, just for the sake of the argument, say he's done some adventuring. Let's bump his ballistic skill up to 50. Let's take his strength up by a point. His wounds up a couple of points. He's a brawny, thewed guy. And his initiative up 10 points. So he's been through the Olden Holler contract. You know, he's fought some goblins, maybe helped a large party of militiamen take down a beast man or two. What are our career exits? Well, we could go Druid, Militiaman, Outlaw, Rustler, or Scout. Now, I'm feeling, just for the sake of simplicity, Because the magic system in classic Warhammer Fantasy is a little... It's a little tough. We can take a deep dive look at the magic system Warhammer Fantasy by itself. So let's keep it simple. And let's exit as an outlaw. Let us scroll down and exit as an outlaw. And yes, Ratcatcher is a class. Look at all those skills, though. That's not kidding around. That's skills. All right, let's see if I can find it. I didn't have any luck before, so... Well, I mean, I'm sorry, Outlaw is not an advanced class. Outlaw is... Outlaw is up here in the basic classes. My mistake. Let's scroll back up here. It's explaining your skills and how they work. There we go. Where is he? Outrider. Outlaw. So check this guy out. We have... Okay, so I'll just read this. Outlaws are those who have been driven from general society for giving cows the wrong herbs, or who choose to live outside its laws. In practice, this can mean a great many people. Some outlaw strongholds are quite powerful and can effectively become independent petty kingdoms. Outlaws tend to identify themselves with the peasantry and the common folk upon whom they rely for support and protection, although there are outlaw nobles and princes disowned by their families and fighting guerrilla war against their former homeland. Outlaws generally confine their attentions to the wealthy and the minions of the establishment. The fact that these are more likely to be worth robbing has never escaped them, although they will attack just about anyone in times of hardship. Outlaws prefer to work in forests or areas of rough terrain, ranger, where there is plenty of cover. Their favorite tactic is the ambush, and some make quite a specialty of leaping out of trees. Their rugged outdoor life makes them fairly tough, but it can be wearing on the constitution. Many outlaws have almost permanent coughs and severe skin disorders, and those who live to any age are invariably riddled with arthritis. Now, that's not something you're going to find in the Player's Handbook or Dungeon Master's Guide. Although the Dungeon Master's Guide does have an extensive list of diseases and afflictions that can hit characters. Never doubt that. So we've decided to advance to an outlaw, and then we'll do our character. We'll do one advanced character for him. So we have Concealment Rural. And that's basically the art of being unseen. Camouflage, covering yourself with leaves, hiding up in a tree and appearing as a branch, that sort of thing. Disarm. The young noble draws his EP. You just reach out with your broadsword and slap it out of his hand. Don't be stupid. Don't die for 10 crowns. Hand the money over. Dodge blow. Dodge blow is one of the most important skills you can get in this game. You can literally, on a successful roll, duck out of a blow and it can save your skin. So I'm glad that is there. Scale sheer surface. That's your climb walls from D&D. Secret language, battle tongue, or thief. Equal chance of either. So we'll do a D10. On 1 to 5, it's battle tongue. On 6 through 10, it's thief. Thief. I couldn't resist giving it the D&D name. We know what it is. Set trap. Silent move rural. And that's moving silently through the woods, you know, avoiding stepping on that pile of leaves or that twig, or, you know, crunching over a piece of bark. This guy's shaping up to be a D&D thief more and more. So we have spot trap. Strike mighty blow. That's basically a roundhouse attack where you put all of your strength into doing the damage as well. Strike to stun. Strike to stun is rather like strike mighty blow, a specialty move where you're looking to maybe hit with the flat of your sword or the basket hilt of your sword and just clout somebody to stagger them, to cause them to lose in action. So 75% chance of drive cart, which I already have. Yeah, I got it, but I don't get it a second time. 75% chance of ride horse. Just got it. 73. I hope you guys are digging this. I did say rustler. Rustler is an option. And yes, they are exactly that. They make their living by going and getting other people's herds of animals and making them their own. Let's see, where were we? 50% chance of animal care, which I already have. Nah, I didn't get it anyway. 25% chance of marksmanship. No. 25% chance of secret signs, woodsman. No. So trappings, I now have a bow and ammunition, a shield, and a 50% chance of a leather jerkin, which does count as armor. No. Now, one thing I should point out, by just giving myself a mulligan and taking the character up to the next level, that does not accurately represent where he might be at after adventuring enough to take a career exit. There are other characteristics I might have increased. I might have used my monies to buy more things, to have more trappings. So this is kind of a skewed view of that. Like, you know, I might have gotten increases for my movement, by some miracle gotten an increase in the number of attacks. Leadership could have gone up. Intelligence, I could have lost fate points. So we're just kind of doing this for the fun of it, to build an advanced character. So we're going to go to an actual advanced career now, and we're going to set his advanced scheme. We're going to increase his weapon skill by 10, so his weapon skill is now 39. And his ballistic skill is a 60. Wounds goes up 2, so he's becoming a tough fellow. Initiative goes up. His initiative is now 48. Number of attacks. He now gets 2 attacks in a round. And his cool goes up by 10. He's seen some shit, man. So we could go Gamekeeper, Highwayman, Outlaw Chief, Rustler, which Katie asked about, or Targeteer. But I'm going to go with Outlaw Chief, because that's an interesting career exit. So let's look at our advances and see what we've got. And yes, there are some lovely character sheets you can print out. Oh, we're out of the player's handbook. I love this picture of the surgeon here. Yes, this should make a nice slit. And the guy in the bed's like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. All right. So there's your skill descriptions, which we can go over as you guys like. Or maybe it was in... it must have been in the... Here, let's go up to the table of contents and see exactly where it's at. Then we can jump to the right page. A little bit of fiction there. Advanced careers. So let's go to page 96. All right, and we said we were going to make him an outlaw chief. Sorry if that's covering things up. Let me see how badly I've... Oh, I moved it around some. Lawyer. Yes, lawyer is an adventuring class in Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play. Outlaw Chief. Successful outlaws can ride to the leadership of their own band and be known as brigands or outlaw chiefs. As such, they get the pick of the equipment available to the band and the first choice of spoils from any robbery. Woohoo! With the advantages of leadership, however, come some responsibilities. The leader is responsible for the welfare of the rest of the band, and if they are dissatisfied with his leadership for any reason, they might well take their displeasure known in a fatal manner. There will also be many in the ranks who would like to take over the chief's position, and, of course, while the rank-and-file outlaws captured by authorities may be hanged out of hand, a more imaginative fate might be reserved for the chief. With all these hazards to contend with, it might be expected that some brigands might seek a safer living and perhaps a more legal way of making a living. This also has its dangers, however, as outlaws will probably regard the desertion of their chief as the ultimate betrayal. So skills. Let's start over. Let's go back to and check out our skills. We have follow trail. Identify plants. He finally knows not to feed Jimson weed to the cows. Secret language battle tongue. I've always imagined that being a bit like, ranger hand symbols, like you see, the 3 and, that sort of thing. Secret language thief, which doesn't avail us. Ride horse, which also doesn't avail us. So we get 3 additional skills. But we also get additional trappings. So we get a bow. Well, we already have a bow, so we'll do crossbow and ammunition. A mail shirt. That's like fine rings, chainmail. A horse. I've got a horse of my own. Look at my horse. My horse is amazing. 1d6 followers, NPC outlaws. Well, how many of those guys have I got following me? My band consists of 1 person. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Career exits: demagogue, highwayman, mercenary captain, or scout. So, yes, you can exit from an advanced skill. It's not the end. It's not the end. One of the interesting things you can do, if you play a dwarf, you can wind up as a troll slayer. Your best hope as a troll slayer is to die in combat. You want to die in combat. You are seeking absolution through death in combat. The only career exit is Dragon Slayer, where you will almost certainly die. And I don't think you can actually That may not be in this edition. Let me see. Yeah, it's not here. It's not here. So there's our character. Started out as a herdsman. Decided to become a bandit. And then wound up with a partner and became a bandit leader. And acquired a raft of skills. And that is Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play character creation. This is a fun game. It is a damn fine game. And you don't have to get super invested in Age of Sigmar or Warhammer Fantasy Battles or anything like that. Surprisingly, and it's probably because it's from, I think, 87 or so. What is the... I'll look at my physical book here. This hails from 1986. So, surprisingly, Games Workshop was still interested in fun at that time. So it's a fun game, and it doesn't require a ton of additional crap. Everything you need is right in there. And that is how you generate a character. And as Katie in the YouTube comments said, it is very random, but it's a lot of fun. Herdsman to Rustler would have been fun. Yeah, I'm tired of keeping track of my own animals. I'm going to go steal somebody else's. And the randomness is very interesting. It's just like, where's life going to take me today, you know? And some of the career exits, like, you know, you could go mercenary captain, you could wind up as a knight, then a protagonist, which in Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play, a protagonist is essentially a knight directly of the people. And then from there to rabble-rouser, and then from rabble-rouser to student, and from student to wizard's apprentice, and then on to it's fascinating the number of trees you can go through. Now I'm going to be 100% honest. That path I just laid out, you know, mercenary captain to knight to protagonist to rabble-rouser to student to wizard's apprentice, your character's probably going to be dead well before then. Just in terms of old age, or they're going to have retired out by that point. But if you and your game master sit down and you want to play the game to that level of fidelity, then go for it. So there you have it, folks. Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play character creation. If you guys want me to do a deeper dive and look at some other character exits, or the magic system, the magic and religious system, or how skills work or anything like that, please just say in the comments, and I'll do it. I'm an easygoing guy. I'm perfectly happy to give that a spin. So you guys let me know, and yeah, we'll do that. So tomorrow, randomness. Who knows? Might just do an Ask Me Anything day. We'll see. Next Thursday, we're having a twofer. For our lunchtime get-together, we are going to be talking with Alan Hammock, TSR alum, Alan Hammock. I have interviewed him on the live stream once before, and I will get that uploaded this weekend, I promise. And then Thursday evening, the great and mighty Jim Ward will be here. That's right, Jim Ward. We're going to talk to Jim about all sorts of things. I want his opinion on this so-called new TSR. We're going to find out what's going on with his Deities and Demigods manuscript. Is he going to put that up for sale? And yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Friday, TSR alum Skip Williams will be in the house. Now, I've never interviewed Skip before, but we're going to talk to Skip about his history with TSR and some of some of the stuff that he's written, and we'll have a fine old time. What is the magic system like? Weird. We'll do, you know what? We'll do a deep dive on the magic system. The magic system has changed over every version of Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play. So yeah, just get ready for a lot of weirdness. The second edition seems to be the one that people like the most, just because chaos can happen. You can like cast a spell and it just causes strange stuff to happen to you. Like, you know, I cast Mage Fire. Well, it doesn't work, but all your hair falls out. Oh, okay. Or, more seriously, it doesn't work. You yourself are consumed in a column of flame. Roll up another character. But first edition is a little different from that. So we'll deep dive. Katie, you have set you have set the margin. Unless anybody else wants, the next time we do a deep dive, it will be Warhammer Fantasy Role-Play again, and we'll look at the magic system. So, yeah, that's all I've got for today. I do want to mention, guys, that we are creeping ever closer. I said that's all I got for today, and here I am about to launch into other stuff. We are creeping ever closer. We're at 715 subscribers now. And when we hit 1,000, mini convention. Virtual mini convention, guys. I'll do it for you. Help us out. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and tell all your friends. Say, hey, you wanna play some RPGs? You wanna go to a virtual mini con? Of course you do. Go subscribe to this guy's channel. Well, thank you all for stopping by today. Sorry for the technical hiccups earlier. OBS freaks out sometimes when I run long Discord streams and it forgets my camera, and I gotta shut my camera off and unplug all the capture gear and plug all the capture gear back in. So that's why that happened today. But anyway, thanks all for being here, and I will see you all tomorrow.